Boy, do I got a trade recap today? Man, this is a complete mess of a market. I'm still in this long position, one contract, took a majority off. I needed to save my capital, essentially. I was targeting this major high, but, knowing fucking price action is going to come down and fucking take out this low and then go fucking higher. I'm sorry, I'm very vulgar, but this shit is pissing me off, man. It's pissing me off today. Alright, so we took a total of 1, 2, 3 trades today on the funded account. The Top Step account got absolutely rinsed in this short. That was like, I think, a $750 loss. And then right here is another $500 loss. So that was back to the trenches on the Top Step account. Honestly, might just blow it. Yeah. Pretty rough. And dude, this shit's pissing me off, bro. Like, it's just high resistance as fuck, bro. Like, what is this? I'm gonna explain it all in a second. We get our 1 hour market structure shift, retrace back down into our 10-minute fair value gap, first presented of Tuesday. This was the best trade of the day. But it not wanting to take out these relative equal highs in Asian is just nuts. Like, if we come back down and stop me out, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. Just because of price action. Like, why the fuck are we doing that shit? It doesn't make any sense. Because then now we get a 3-minute market structure shift, and then we'd have to head lower. Whatever. I'm just gonna stop looking at that. I'm just gonna get to that larger 15-minute time frame. Actually, I want to do the gospel first. I need to dial down a little bit. You feel me? This is too stressful, bro. It's too stressful, bro. Like, trading just has to be too stressful in these recent, I don't even know, days. It's just too stressful for no reason whatsoever, bro. Yesterday wasn't stressful, but today obviously is gonna be stressful. It's every other day, bro. It's pissing me off, bro. But yeah, let's just get into it. The gospel of today, which is Tuesday, January 20th. Kind of get on my head of self and all this stuff. All right. As Jesus was passing through a field of grain on the Sabbath, which is a Sunday, or whenever they, thought of that. Not whenever they celebrated Sabbath. I believe it was every Sunday. I don't know if it was defined as Sunday, but it's how it is. His disciples began to make a path while picking the heads of grain. At this, the Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath? On the Sabbath, you're not allowed to do any type of work. You're not allowed to do any type of work. It's basically a day of rest, a day of worship, a day of, he rested on the 7th day after making the world, you feel me? That type of vibe. So yeah. Have you not read what David did when he was in need and he and his companions were hungry? How he went into the house of God with Abiathar was a high priest, and he ate the bread of offering that only the priest could eat lawfully, and then shared it with his companions. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, but not man for the Sabbath. That is why the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. That is why the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. So I guess basically saying, I think it's basically saying Jesus is the top G, you feel me? He walked in that bitch and said, X, Y, Z, you feel me? He's not no one's he can decide. I'm trying to see here. The rest, restoration, and freedom. So and the Sabbath was made for man, not man for Sabbath, Sabbath is made for man to rest. And then essentially, I don't even know what I'm trying to get at, bro. Let's just get into this, bro. Not a man for Sabbath, all this stuff. It always be just doing this. Yeah. He reveals what it's always for and claims the right to define it. So Jesus, like I said, he is him. He's gonna define that shit regardless of what people think. Let's get back into this motherfucker. I'm about to get stopped out. I already know it. For the rest of my position, I really wish I could target that high, but of course, that's just how it is. You don't want to fucking work like that. Let's get into it. So on this larger time frame on the 15 minute, I'm looking around town. I'm like, bro, relative equal lows overnight. We've been kind of dumping, yes, but we retraced pretty healthily 930. So we look, destined to essentially want these relative equal lows. And I was, I think it was like last week on Thursday or something like that. I was looking at, the 15 minute, yes, it shifted to the upside here, but we have opposing liquidity on the other side of it. You feel me? So, what do I prioritize? And in this sense, patience would have paid. I said to myself this morning, I don't even know where we want to go. I'd have no idea. Even though the 15 minutes tell me bullish, I have a bearish bias based off liquidity. And honestly, we closed out of this daily wick, so we could come back into to retest it. I saw that here, retest that daily wick to then head lower. Okay, so my bullish and bearish bias are perfectly kind of lining up with each other, and I'm not really finding a reason to to not place a trade, essentially, because if you're both bearish and bullish, you would like to refrain from taking a trade, but in this case I wasn't. So ES came up, swept out these London highs, this tiny Asian high, 930, and then basically I was like, okay, this looks good. We have our sweep, market structure shift, an order block. We just inversed first presented fair value gap. This is a perfect long short down to these relative equal lows. Relative equal low, break even 100% right there, and then these lows down here. We literally just fucking don't hit that shit. Like, we literally don't hit that shit. And I take a $250 loss because originally I had $500 risk at this high. So then I had it around here. So then that was $250 loss. And it was just one fucking candle. So that's what made it even worse, to be honest. It's like when you're chilling, and then all of a sudden, you get raped. But this is what kind of confirmed to me a bullish bias. I'm like, okay, it's obvious now that we don't want to go down to these lows, and ES not wanting to do that is kind of a representation of this larger 15-minute time frame. We market structure shifted. That means that we're not going to take this low, So that's how you can see how my bearish bias was impacting, basically my trading. In order how I framed the market in that situation, my bearish bias was, framing it in a bad light, essentially. So once we get that displacement back to the upside, I'm like, bro, this is bullish. Like, there's nothing else for me. So since ES was more bearish, I said, screw ES, let's go over to NASDAQ. And this 1 minute entry on NASDAQ is me accidentally adding again. Like, I accidentally placed it on here. I just canceled it. It was no biggie. Hopefully they're not saying it's hedging, but I sold, so I was also selling here, so I think it'll be okay. But yeah, so then we get this low, gets swept, our high, and if you're long biased, this is a perfect trade, bro. Like, SMT, I probably in there, I'm not even check. Market structure shift, you could have your limit at this high, and then it just runs, and foreshadowing. But then, once we get this retracement back in this fair value gap, I take a long. I'm pretty confident. I risk still 250. Then once you get this 1 hour market structure shift, I'm like, I would like to see price just kind of run up there. There's really, like, if we head back down to this low, then I'm just going to be like, damn, I don't think we're going to be bullish. And this is where I make my mistake. I place another entry. I just enter one more contract. So I'm in 3 contracts with a $250 stop loss, or around $300 stop loss at this low. So then, of course, before the macro, we rally down to my stop, which makes complete sense. Okay, like, with the macro taking out my stop like that, I was like, yo, price is gonna be bullish back to this high and back to this relative equal high. I thought, okay, we're still fucking consolidating this shit. It looks like it's about to pop to the downside. But yeah, I was like, all right, bet. Yeah, because we got that little shift, so we're gonna take that low one more time. Potentially, if we take this low, I'm just gonna get stopped, and then we're probably gonna head higher from there, which is some bullshit, but that's how it is. So then I get stopped there, and then I realize, yo, macro's time, we have this high, a low, high, lower low. Once we get above this high, I'm confident that we're gonna want this 1 hour market structure shift high, and then also this relative equal high. So then I just have my limit at that, swing high. Once we tap into it, we just rip higher, go break even. Once we take this internal high, and then that takes out our 1 hour market structure shift high. So, if I waited, congratulations, I would have had a banger of a day. I lost $500 and then now I made 500, and then this is gonna get stopped out or running. Let me just put it down here just in case. Realistically, you know, it's only $30. I don't need no $30. But like, yeah, you know, it's like this is gonna get stopped, and it's pissing me off, bro. Because why are we leaving these highs, bro? Like, look at this price action, bro. Tell me this price action is good. With like, you can't tell me this price action is good. You cannot. It's terrible, terrible, terrible price action. All right, I gotta just like look at this shit and just like look. You feel me? Just gotta look. Cause it's coming, bro. Like, you just know, like, this is the worst feeling. Especially if you're getting stopped. This is the worst feeling, bro. Like, you know, yeah. Like, you know this is bullshit, but that's just how it's gonna have to be, bro. So ending the day break even. I would have had maybe like a $200 day if I took it all off here. But I'm done, bro. I'm absolutely ruined. I'm tired. I'm just tired of this market, bro. I'm tired. It's like I don't even know how to, you know, gauge this shit sometimes. So yeah, you know, neglecting that larger 15-minute time frame just, you know, it wasn't good, you know, just because like it's so easy to be bearish, especially on ES when the setup is looking that pretty, you know, the highs are swept, market structure shift. You think that we need to come down to this low, like you would literally, I put my heart and soul onto that shit, even like this break even low, because this is our low, but we didn't even want to take that low out. So, you know, what the heck, what is even going on, bro? So yeah, high resistance run to the upside, and it just looks like a mess, bro. Like, all this work, this was like not even a trade. That does not count. But like this, I'm floating profit. Oh no, I profited. Floating profit on ES. I was up like 300 on ES, or like 250 on ES, 300. Another 250 there, and then almost 600 here, 700 here. So it's like, bro, I would have had a 1K day if I just take my fucking money and just be like, all right, I'm done at $200, because, you know, that's just hindsight, me being kind of a lame little loser. But it's like, it's just rough, bro. Rough price action. You know, a motherfucker can only deal with this for so long. You feel me? Like that's just how it is, bro. I don't know. I'm done though. I'm glad to be out of that. Cause like, especially the short's the only thing that I could understand my loss. But then like this, like not going break even on like that is nuts in my opinion. And like, you know, you just gotta be a little more smart when it comes to trade management, because you kind of knew once you got stopped after that short, you know, we're long up to these highs, and that was kind of my conviction. Like, either we head down here to these relative equal lows, or we head up here to these highs, and you know, there's no in between. You feel me? So it's like, you know, once I get that confirmation again, that's when I can be like, all right, bet, yeah, we're gonna start ripping. But that's it for today. Damn, that was bad. You know, it's like, what is this, 11:30 basically. I've been sitting through this bitch for 2 hours to end up to do nothing, as a result of taking 2 trades that I guess are premature. You know, this one was good. I just didn't risk accordingly. I didn't get a good entry. If I risked $500 on this trade and I entered in this fair value gap rejection, like, you know, my position could have looked a lot more cleaner. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'll let that be okay. But like, you know, imagine having my stop below first presented, risking $500. You know, I wouldn't even be in this trade. I would have took my partials there, and then, you know, got break even instead of entering again, which is probably the dumbest shit. And then heading higher, because I thought this was a 1 minute market maker buy model. Consolidation, rip, head higher. But no, it was not. So yeah, that's all I got. You know, it was a rough day. It came out break even though. I am very, very proud, like happy about that. I'll give myself that. But you know, it always could have been better. You feel me? I will see y'all whenever. January 20th. Let's hope for a better day tomorrow on Wednesday. Peace out.